Welcome everybody out to podcast number 386. I've got Katie Schroeder with me today, and we're going to talk about the, what would you call the topic? If we had to make up a topic, what would you say?
Oh, I would say,
Would you say?
a different, go ahead.
No, you could do it.
No, you.
No, you.
This is dumb.
I don't even know what to call it now, but stay with us.
This is the Elevate Construction Podcast, delivering remarkable content for workers, leaders, and companies in construction wanting to take their next step. Get ready to step out of your comfort zone with Jason Schroeder as he encourages you to do better, live a remarkable life, and expect more. Let's go.
Okay, welcome everybody out to our podcast. Katie, Kate, so she's like on this conquer the world with education and continuous improvement coaching, like self-improvement program, really doing a lot of great things. And she's been sharing a lot of things with me. And she sent me a feminine and masculine divine identity, wounded identity, or behaviors, whatever you would want to call it. And I thought this was too good to not share. So if you hear some kids in the background, I apologize. But Katie, can you introduce us to this topic, where you found it and kind of why it was impactful to you?
You know what? I can't remember right off the top of my head where I found it. I'll think about that
Okay, no
as
problem.
we go. But
Sure. And you're
was going.
and you're picking my face in my ears while we're doing a podcast. I'm just kidding.
Crazy. Dumb.
All right, go ahead. So why do you think it was really cool?
I think it's cool because, so this chart, it basically lists the feminine characteristics and masculine characteristics, and kind of helps us identify when, we're feeling a certain way, or perhaps when our spouse or someone that we're interacting with is feeling a certain way. We can kind of see where they're at on the chart, and then maybe lead from a more compassionate space, seeing that maybe they're just coming from a wounded place, which is kind of like all goes back to Brene Brown did that podcast with Russell Brand, where she talked about how everybody is doing their best. And when you can recognize that sometimes people are just really deeply wounded, that it's nothing personal, and that, maybe there's even something that you can do to, if not help them, then at least, like I said, be compassionate.
I like that. When you sent it to me, I kind of took it as a way to identify where somebody was and not to be so defensive about it. But now I see that this is a tool to kind of show up in a way where you can connect. So would you like to read? Well, actually, I would like it. Do you mind orienting us to the chart a little bit and then talking about kind of what the impact is for us? And so I'll give you a question here in a minute, but do you mind orienting us to the chart and reading out some of these?
Sure. So on the feminine side, it says divine feminine. And however you'd like to take that, but I just suppose it means like your best, the best version of the qualities that you possess, right? So obviously I believe in having heavenly parents. So these would be like attributes that would be, that we would find in our divine parents.
Yeah.
Okay. So the divine feminine qualities are intuitive, grounded, receptive, reflective, strong. I'm sorry, I feel like maybe I should take my aligners out because it's kind of lispy.
Oh, no, it's good.
Okay. Strong boundaries. Or is that strong boundaries? Strong boundaries?
I know.
Strong and strong with
and
boundaries.
somebody had boundaries, yeah.
Okay. Empathetic, compassionate, magnetic, supportive, vulnerable, authentic, flows through life effortlessly, or is that flows through life effortlessly surrendered?
I think effortlessly surrendered.
Yeah. Open, trusting, creative. And then the characteristics that you find in the wounded feminine are insecure, needy, codependent, manipulative, inauthentic, over-emotional, and like a victim mentality.
And so can you explain the two difference? Like when do people go towards the kind of their divine nature, and when do they show up in the wounded? And why is it important for us to know?
Well, I think I just kind of like thinking about it for myself, like when I feel myself acting in one of these like wounded spaces, I'm allowing others to affect me and kind of giving my power away, giving my, letting someone else be in control of my emotions. And therefore I show up in a way that is not, my most empowered self. So that's when I'm definitely, for me, not over emotional, but like I would say definitely like maybe insecure or manipulative would be like probably traits that I, what's the word? Relate to.
Well,
exhibit.
Well, when you're talking, I'm like, I think of it's okay to feel these things, right? It's okay if I feel insecure and needy or whatever, but it's nice to know where home is. And here's what I was thinking is that there are people that would define their ideal woman as codependent. We're like really needy. I want my woman to like really need me, I feel, and then on the man side, wounded masculine, where this is somebody who's speaking from a wounded standpoint, aggressive, withdraws, I'm thinking avoids people, competitive. Like this is some of those words would describe what you would call like the typical rugged American male, right?
Right. Where you hear like toxic masculinity, which is like an overused buzzword and it's like oversimplified. But in all reality, there is a form of masculine that is divine, that is your best self, your most empowered masculine self. Or there is when a male is wounded and he comes across,
In that way.
in one of these ways.
And the reason that it was important to me, you're probably wondering why this makes sense to have on a construction podcast, but I really want to do away with you're probably going to get me in trouble for that, but like do away with as much as we can the concept that superintendents have to be these controlling, aggressive, withdrawn, non-emotional, evasive, non-approachable, competitive, somewhat abusive person, right? Mm-hmm. And get away from that towards the divine masculine. And I'll go ahead and read them since this is the male part. Our divine nature as masculine humans is deeply present, doesn't judge, supportive, has discipline, focused, logical, confident, protective, honest, accountable, has integrity, humble, has boundaries, offers stability and security, responsible. So if we can move from the controlling, aggressive, withdrawn, unapproachable, competitive, abusive, somewhat unstable, bipolar image that some superintendents have most superintendents, quite frankly, and project managers and leaders in construction have, and realize that we're probably acting in that way because of a woundedness or an abuse or bad circumstances, and realize that we have permission to show up and let our light shine, which was yesterday's podcast. I think that would really help in creating connection and encouraging collaboration and communication on project sites. So I guess my question is, what do we do from here? So now that we know that our divine nature is really one of transparency and openness and vulnerability, and it's not this wounded negative behavior, and that we don't have to stay in that space, what do we do with this information? What would your challenge be for people? I know I kind of put you on the spot. It's a tough question, but if we have this cool tool, I want to use it.
Well, I think the very basic thing is to, when we feel like, and nobody wants to be like diagnosed. Like we hate that, right? When someone's trying to coach us just because they're getting coached.
Yeah.
Right? That's never happened.
Oh man, Katie comes home, she's going through these coaching programs and she starts telling me coaching stuff. And I immediately choose to get triggered. I'm like, don't you coach me. Which actually, the one that I've been pushing back on most of the time is she'll tell me, well, that's just a story you're telling yourself in your head. And I like flip out, like I absolutely freak. However, we're going to talk about it on the second part of this podcast. So go ahead, keep going. You were saying nobody wants to be
nobody wants to be like diagnosed by their spouse or someone that they're in a relationship with or whatever. But I think if you can, when you see behavior that is from the wounded side of, male or female, and obviously we know like each of us has, you know, like I have masculine traits and you have feminine traits. Like we all have, it's a mix. It's not just black and white, but to lead in a way that you're not just reacting to their behavior and not allowing their woundedness to trigger you, but allow it to trigger something compassionate in you in a way that you might, you know, if you could see what everyone was going through behind the scenes where, maybe somebody's wife is going to be, what's the word? I can't think of what, Emily.
Giving birth?
Yeah. Well, no, not giving birth.
Delivering?
Delivering. I can't. What is the word? Induced early.
Oh, induced. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, or if it's stressful, or
Actually lost.
I know. Let's just cut that whole piece out.
No, I said anything. You're saying that as soon as you feel somebody's going through something that
you would automatically feel compassionate.
Oh yeah.
You
totally agree.
you would give them so much grace and so much love, but we do not walk around with like all the labels like right on our chest, like, oh hey, I'm dealing with an eating disorder, or I'm dealing with a spouse that's abusive.
People might not know that you're joking and actually think I'm abusive. You've got to calm that stuff down.
Wow, there's the ambiguity. Focus that.
That's super funny. So to close this section out and get into the next one, the words for the wounded feminine, meaning for feminine behaviors and characteristics: insecure, needy, codependent, manipulative, inauthentic, over-emotional, being a victim. And we have the opportunity to step out of that space and show up differently, get coaching, get, what do they call that? It's not psychotherapy. It's to see, therapy. Okay, therapy, get help, go to, different programs or whatever. Same thing with the masculine. For these characteristics, if we're controlling, aggressive, withdrawn, unapproachable, you're avoiding interactions with other people, to competitive, abusive, unstable, that means that it's coming from a wounded place and there's an opportunity for healing. And so what my purpose is on the podcast is, let's not let these things define us or define roles or the image that we have, specifically in construction. Now, let's go to the story that we're telling ourselves. This is helpful for any position in construction or anywhere, actually, because...
Well, can I just do one more thing before you get into your construction bit? Like, can you just pin that?
Yeah.
Or will you forget?
Well, it applies to all of it, but go ahead. I guess you're in charge, so...
Oh, is that some wounded masculine?
Yeah, it's controlling and aggressive. Competitive, abusive, unstable. Actually, it's all of those.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Now I feel like I've lost my train of thought because you're so mean.
Oh, no, I'm not so mean. People are going to believe this.
I know.
Okay.
What I was going to say, though, I honestly think I forgot. Hold on.
You did?
I don't know.
If you keep thinking about it, you won't remember.
I know.
So...
Oh, what I was going to say is, like, when I'm showing up, and I kind of mentioned this before, like, when I'm showing up in the wounded feminine, like, probably you did something to hurt me. Let's just be honest. And you could see that and be like, oh, I wonder if, just to, like, have that awareness, I wonder if something I've done has, like, caused her to, like, kind of push into that woundedness. And then second, which, again, like, I'm not trying to have you be responsible for everyone's actions or everyone's feelings or emotions or whatever. But sometimes we do create reactions in others because we come across, too strong or too domineering or whatever. So that just leave a space for the fact that you may have unknowingly maybe pushed your someone else into this wounded space. But the second thing was, like, you're also, like, you don't ever want to, like, lead with an unempowered trait. You know what I mean? Like, you want to stay in the divine traits because that's where power is. And it's not just, like power and authority, but, like, your own power rather than just constantly reacting to everything that goes on around you. You have to shift out of that space where you don't feel like you're at the whims of everyone or everything because you're in a wounded state.
I like that. So if somebody is, and we're not blaming, I'm just saying somebody's coming from a hard spot, tell us about the concept of the story we tell ourselves.
Oh, okay. Well.
And you can mention the coaching program.
So I'm in a coaching program that, and the model that they teach is that things happen and they're just circumstances. And the circumstance itself is pretty neutral. But what happens is because of our past experiences and our thoughts about ourselves and our thoughts about others, we start to assign meaning to things that didn't necessarily have that meaning. And so we kind of build up this little story. Well, so just here's an example. What did you do?
Are you going to criticize me again?
But is that okay?
Yeah, I guess, as long as the cops don't show up.
What did you do? That was super. Oh, okay. So this is what happens. I have to take, Jason did a training for some Norwegians last night. So he was working all night. And then this morning I had to take my girls to early morning seminary for church. And I went to get the car keys and they weren't there, the keys to his truck. His truck, obviously, like, this whatever that implies, guys. They were on the key ring. And I'm like, how rude are you to like take your keys to your office, knowing that I have to take these girls to seminary in the morning and now I have to drive the van because, do you see what I'm saying? Like, I just create this story when I know in my heart, he's just thoughtless, right? He just wasn't thinking of me. But I've turned it into, you're not considerate. You never think about me. You don't think about my feelings. You don't care that I had to drive
the van.
the big van.
So everybody asks me, so what do you drive? We drive my cool wife, who's cooler than me, gets to drive this big, lunky 15-passenger van because I hauled the keys in my office. So, yeah, go ahead.
So something simple that, like, we start to tell ourselves these stories and we get mad and then we pretty soon want to hold them accountable. Like, I want to hold him. I want to go to him and be like banging on the door while he's doing this, whatever meeting for these guys and be like, why would you take the keys? Like, you're rude. Like, that's rude, man. You're not a good person, bro. And I would say that to him. But like, that's just a story that I've told myself about these keys. When, like, I genuinely know if I can stop and calm down and come from an empowered space that he really is super thoughtless. And he just was like walking around with his keys and took them out to his office, which is in the backyard.
Yeah. It was midnight in my defense.
Yeah.
But I guess if you can get to that point of clarity, then you can be like, no emotions, move on, do the right thing.
Right.
Which is the same concept that they had in leadership and self-deception. If you can go back and get clarity on any situation from a non-emotional standpoint, then you have the opportunity to do the right thing and respond right. Mm-hmm. I think that's a huge thing. And maybe I'm too focused on construction, but just in my world, that's something that we really have to get better at. Not only in our relationships, but in our interactions at work. So I really appreciate that.
Well, can I just give you one more?
Yeah.
Like, I told you the other day, like, don't lock the bedroom door because the lock is broken. And you forgot, right? And that's something that's applicable across the board. Like, you forgot. And I could tell myself, he forgot because I'm not important to him. Or he forgot because he doesn't care, right? When in all reality, you, A, just got busy, B, weren't listening.
I don't even remember this.
Exactly. So in any situation, you can start telling yourself a story. This behavior means this to me, and now I'm going to react in a way that's ugly, and I shouldn't react that way. I want to be somebody that acts and is not acted upon. I always want to be like in charge of my emotions and in control of who I am and how I show up, and not be affected by someone who forgot something or who I think maybe didn't care about me or whatever.
No, I totally agree. I think it's really helpful because you either can find out maybe there isn't such a thing as a real story, but maybe what the other person's story is, and respond accordingly, and then build from there, right? When it descends into chaos, it's like, why did you do this? Well, I didn't do that, and then it just starts an argument and nobody's listening. But if we started to realize that we're most of the time just telling each other stories and we're pulling each other down like rats in a barrel. So I love this story. I have no idea if it's true or not, everybody. But a story was told to me that people back in the day would fill up a barrel 3/4 of the way full, put some fruit on the top, and have a little board tilted up to the top of the barrel. And when rats would come in to eat the rotten fruit, there was just a layer of fruit and water underneath. And if you got two or more rats in there, that as soon as one of them tried to crawl out, the other ones would grab a hold and pull them back down. And essentially that's what we're doing, if that story's true. But even if it's not, it's a good image. Emotionally, if somebody's down or in a spot, we're just pulling down all of the other people who aren't in a negative spot and negative mentally. And the people who are in a good spot, we're letting people drag us down when we go to their space. And are you Googling if the rats in the barrel thing? We got distracted. Oh, now you're on Facebook or something.
There was like a story in a movie, and I was like, "What is this?" And then, but no, I'm totally listening. Totally.
What is that little kids book that we liked with Geppetto or with not Geppetto, the little dots? It's not Geppetto. It's Petto.
It's a Max Lucado. I think it's You Are Special.
Yeah, it's You Are Special
with the Punchinello.
Punchinello, yeah.
Something like that.
And these little, what were they? They were wooden dolls. They would get little dots on them. Mm-hmm. What did the dots represent?
I can't remember.
Yeah, the dots basically represented like criticism or self-doubt or just little negative things. And so I like that little imagery. I also saw a little social media post the other day where somebody was rude and then the other person walked away and was really grumpy too. And out of nowhere, a little black ball showed up in their hand. And then they passed that rudeness and that little black ball. It just keeps passing to other people, right? And how we stop the cycle is we stop telling each other stories, right? If my wife or your husband is like emotional and on one or ranting, that's their story. That's their reality. You don't have to automatically absorb that, right? And I think that's where we are.
Right. And I think you have to walk that fine balance where you don't want to be dismissive, where it's like, oh, you're just telling yourself a story. Like, here he goes again.
Yeah, which you do.
I did. Did do that. But I've always done that. I didn't do that because of coaching, because I've always been like, wow, you're really emotional and I don't know how to relate to you.
Yeah.
but to try and, look into your divinity, your divine feminine, because that's where you have the empathy or the compassion or supportive or vulnerable. Do you know what I'm saying? Whereas the same with masculinity, you're maybe seeing your wife act in a manipulative way or needy, and that frustrates you because like she's calling a lot. Like I would never do that, but if some wife did that somewhere and it bothered you, like you could be, hey, she needs some support right now, or maybe she needs to feel like protected or something.
Yeah,
I
totally agree. And then we're tying it back to construction. Nobody knows the stress that a project superintendent goes through, or a director, or a PM, or some of these foremen, some of these people that are in critical positions in construction. They literally get backed up into a wall, and there's no wonder. I mean, it's really not a surprise that women and men in this crazy industry can become wounded. And this is an opportunity for us to get help, to get coaching, to get therapy, but also for each of us to be understanding and to be compassionate, to realize that everyone's doing their best, even if somebody hurts you. Like this is an extreme example, but if somebody robs your house, it's still done from a positive intent. They're getting money to support themselves. Like, even though that's a radical concept and it's a radical example, most of the time, anybody, even if they're doing something that's morally or ethically wrong, they're doing something for a positive intent. It might not be ethical, it might not be moral, it might not be just, it might just be for survival. But the point is, nobody woke up and said, "Oh, I'm going to go be evil and mess with somebody today," or except for
a small group of people,
maybe 5.
Wow.
Well, Satan, we've got Satan on the list. Okay, so there's some bad people, but most of the people, would you agree that most people aren't?
I agree that most people are doing their best, and sometimes their best is, something that the rest of us might find horrific.
Yeah.
Or damaging.
Yeah, and I'm not a Marxist, and I don't believe in communism, and I don't believe in the teachings of Karl Marx and circumstances and the environment. And I'm not particularly fond of Freud. However, there are just so many different circumstances and pieces of our environment that shape who we are, and we just don't know what somebody's going through unless we've walked in their footsteps. So I really appreciate that. Katie, any final comments as we close this out? You want to tell people how wonderful of a husband I am, that I provide well, that I'm a great husband and father. Anything positive after the 5 or 6 digs? Nothing?
No.
Okay, that's it.
No.
Okay, well, that's your story.
I know where this goes.
And mine is that I am awesome and I freaking rock. So, all right, love you, Kate. Bye-bye. Oh, wait. We forgot 1, 2, 3.
Oh, on we go.
No, that's not timed.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. On we go.
That's stupid.
Please join us next time in elevating the entire construction experience for workers, leaders, and companies coast to coast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to share with your construction colleagues and help us spread the word by rating, subscribing, and leaving a review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate it. We'll catch you next time on the Elevate Construction Podcast.